In Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, persecution doesn't always look like violence. Sometimes it looks like surveillance, control, and a system designed to make it nearly impossible for unapproved religious communities to exist. Tajikistan and Uzbekistan are former Soviet republics, where authoritarian governments inherited Soviet-era surveillance and turned it against religious minorities. In Tajikistan, unregistered religious activity is illegal. Religious education of minors is banned. Authorities confiscate Bibles and raid house churches. Those caught face fines, harassment, and even imprisonment. In Uzbekistan, worshiping outside state-approved groups is criminal. Raids on private homes are common. Those caught face fines, detention, and forced labor. Evangelism of any kind is a criminal act. What makes these countries uniquely challenging is that persecution comes from every direction. The state monitors you. Family and community reject you. And in Muslim cultural contexts, leaving Islam is social suicide, bringing shame, ostracism, and threats. These pressures are not unique to Christians. Other minorities face similar restrictions. But for converts, the intersection of state repression, cultural pressure, and family rejection creates a uniquely layered persecution. No public worship, no open Bible study, no gathering without risk. And yet, Christians in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan continue to meet, grow, and steadfastly hold to their faith.
In my work with Help the Persecuted, I have local believers that I know, a network of local believers that help me find situations where believers are ostracized by society, when believers lose their job, are threatened. How about this threat? They are threatened that if you die, you cannot be buried in our cemetery. They have issues with finding work because they are known Christians, and the members in the villages, they label them and often criticize them, shame them openly. So we come alongside these people and we see their faith, and actually that is the key way to know them, because we see them live out their faith, that they are genuine and they love the Lord with all their hearts. In spite of all this persecution, they are going forward, and they have joy, even though if I would be in their place, I question if I could be so enduring and so, if I could continue going forward for the Lord. But that's the cases. Those are the cases that we are handling. Believers that are sold out and they go all the way for Jesus Christ and for the gospel of Jesus Christ in those environments. We were helping one of our amazing lady believers with her tuition because she's at university. Just relief, real relief that happens, and you cannot imagine how much, even a little amount, how far a little amount can go in Tajikistan. So this younger lady that we helped, the most recent case, she is a known Christian in her community. She opened her house for home meetings. If she sees a need, like a poor person, she needs someone on the street with a need, she would go to them, pray for them. She's a natural evangelist, and she's really openly living out her faith Um, and I can say she has very, very strong faith, because I've seen how, the authority she takes and she has when she prays for people and prays for situations. They had a meeting in her house recently, and the next day the KGB, the secret police, came to her house and they started a case against her. And there was there was a big scandal because of her letting in a Christian group and having Christian meetings in her own house, which actually is covered by Tajik law. By Tajik law, people have freedom of assembly and they can have meetings, and there's no limits. But she was singled out and she was persecuted because of that. That's one. And like, also she has to be very careful who she shares the gospel with. And that's also important, to rely on the Lord, because if you share the gospel with the wrong person, I hope the listeners can understand what I'm trying to say, there can be even bigger trouble and bigger consequences. The amount she received will cover 1 year's of her tuition and all of her expenses. So I will be visiting her in the next 2 weeks, because the funding was just approved. My greatest prayer for Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, actually the whole of Central Asia, that the gospel would have a free flow in the communities, because what we see, that there is a spirit of fear, there is a crazy spirit of fear that is rooted in Islam. And when there is a free flow of the gospel in Central Asia, I believe millions will come to Christ. Because what keeps them back from receiving Jesus Christ as as their Savior is fear. What will my neighbor say? What will my relatives say? What will my community say? Maybe I will lose the privilege of being buried in the cemetery where my father and mother, grandfather was buried to. The first case we funded in Tajikistan, this brother, he's an older brother, but he's a well-known evangelist in Tajikistan. He goes, everywhere he goes, he shares the gospel. But one of his concerns, when I had alone time with him and just talked to him, he said, will you bury me when I die? He says, why are you asking that question? He says, because my village already told me that I cannot be buried in the same cemetery where my father is buried. Will you take care of that? And I told him, by the Lord's grace, He will give us wisdom and solution when that time comes. What it means to be steadfast, the Bible is very clear on that. Be unmovable. Keep going after the goal. And I believe, for me, the greatest example is these believers we are helping. The believers HTP is helping. They are not going on with the Lord because we are helping them. They are going forward and they are steadfast because they are rooted and grounded in the gospel, and they are going after their calling, the heavenly calling, that is so great. And it's just so amazing that HTP, with the programs that we have, with the ideas and the vision we have, we can come alongside and help them and just say, hey, you are not alone. The Lord is with you, and here's a little help. Come on, let's go forward and go on with your calling and your mission. We don't change their calling. They are called, and they are steadfast already.
Привет, я живу в Таджикистан. Спасибо огромное за вашу помощь. Я благодарю за вас. Но последний у меня был гонение и страны правительства, и слава Богу, Бог покрыто тоже. Основно моя нужда новые помещения для новых группы и служение для больных. И спасибо огромное за это. Молитесь за это, пожалуйста.